Hey dude and dudettes, glad to have you back. This is Brad's Boredom Busters and I am your host, Brad Claybaugh. This video we are going to be building a tabletop ironing board. If you have any questions about this project, please leave it in the comment section below. And if there's any other projects you'd like to see me do, let me know about those. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, please subscribe and tell your friends. So guys and gals, stick with me to the end of the video and I will tell you about our upcoming project. Now let's roll the intro. Alright, so today's project is going to be a tabletop ironing board. It's perfect for quilters that do small piecework. That way you don't have to constantly get up to go to an ironing board. You can keep it on your sewing table and it makes it more convenient and more efficient to work. It's going to be a very simple project. All you need is a sheet of plywood. It can either be 1/2 inch or 3/4. One important thing about selecting the plywood for your project is you want a plywood that has a very smooth surface. Plywood comes in different grades. An exterior type of plywood would be CDX, which is very rough. You want to look for a plywood that has a very smooth surface, which would be an AC plywood. A birch plywood that's pre-sanded is ideal. You can also have this pre-cut to your dimensions at the home improvement store. And then you'll also need 100% cotton batting and 100% cotton fabric to go over the top of it. You don't want anything with polyester in it. The heat from the iron will ruin it. And the other thing you're going to need is a staple gun. You can either use electric or manual. The ironing board that I'm going to be building today is going to be 24 by 36. I will leave a list of the materials needed for this project below. And I will leave links for the stapler that I use and an electric stapler as well. Along with the plywood foundation for the ironing board, you will also need fabric that will wrap around the plywood about an extra 2 to 3 inches. For my project, because it's 24 by 36, I purchased a piece of fabric that was 3/4 of a yard by the length of the goods, which in this case was 43 inches. I also purchased 100% cotton batting. I purchased 3/4 of a yard by the length of the goods, which was 90 inches. I was able to fold it up into thirds for 3 layers of cushioning. If you choose to fold it in half for 2 layers, that should be adequate. I just chose to have the extra padding on mine because the material seemed a little thin. Okay, let's get the material cut. After you get your plywood cut, then you want to make sure you sand down the edges and the corners so you don't get any sharp splinters that might puncture your fabric. And then you could also give a light sanding to the surface if you think it's necessary. And then dust it off, and then you can start assembling the ironing board. All right, now that you've got all your sanding done and everything's cleaned up, now it's time to put on the batting and then your fabric. It's best to put your fabric down on the table with the good side down. Then you can layer your batting and then put your board on those 2 layers. All right, so now it's time to get your fabric ready. It usually will come folded in half off of the bolt, which means you need to iron out the crease. This is what I had picked out for my ironing board. I really like that color. I think it's very attractive, and I think it'll show up nice in future videos. Now let's take it over to the table and start assembling. All right, so first thing you do is take your fabric and place it on your work surface right side down. All right, then you take your batting and that will go on next. All right, then smooth everything out, try and get all the wrinkles out. And I just want to explain one more time that when you purchase your fabric and your batting, make sure you purchase enough so it can wrap around the plywood and be over about 2 to 3 inches on all sides. All right, next goes down the plywood. Make sure you get that centered. All right. Now the next thing to do is just cut the corners out of the batting so it can fold up without leaving too much bulk in the corners. So just take a bit of a cut straight into the corner, but leave, if you have a 1/2 inch piece of plywood, then stay back a 1/2 inch. If you have 3/4 plywood, then stay back 3/4. Make sure you don't cut your fabric underneath the batting. Okay, now our corners are cut. Now we can tack the batting in place with a stapler. Pull it taut over the edge. You don't have to use as many staples here as you will on the fabric side, because it will also help hold the batting in place. Then grab a hold of your plywood and just kind of pull, lift up maybe a little bit on the plywood so you can get a good slide and tug on the batting. Then tack this other end down. And then take the batting and tuck it down the edge of the plywood and then pull the long side over that. Tuck again, pull it over. Then spin it for the other edge. All right, so now the batting is all stapled down. I notice my fabric is not exactly square to my board, so I'm going to straighten that out at this time. Take it all the way off. Line it up as best you can. Try and get even sides. There we go. Good. All right. So that is step 1 or 2, I guess. Cutting the plywood would be step 1. Now we've stapled on our batting, step 2. So now it's time to finish off with the fabric. So let's start on a short end again. Can take and pull that up over. And now you'll probably want to use more staples because you are going to be putting more tension on this. You don't want the fabric to tear from having just too few staples and then pulling on it. Put your last staple in maybe about 3 fingers width from the edge. That way we can, at the end, pull the corners up and fold it flat. I'll show you how that's done at the end. You want to tug too hard, that can cause wrinkles, but you just want to get a nice little stretch to the fabric. Keep things smooth as possible. Now you'll come up to one of your corners. Do not staple over the short edge fabric, just staple right up next to it. And then we'll finish off the corners after we're done with both sides. All right, that's all 4 sides. All right, so I'll show you how we finish off these corners and then we're almost done. Take the corner, pull it straight up, find the apex of the corner, pinch the 2 pieces together from both sides, then pull straight back, tuck in the excess. There you are. Lay that down and give it several good staples. And that makes a nice rounded corner there. Let's do that again. So pull that up, pinch, lay it down, gather it if you need to, pull that tight. If you have a big tail like this, you can cut off the excess of that. All right, and that's it. There's our ironing board. Came out really nice. That'll be a very useful addition to my table. And I hope it is a good addition for you as well. Have fun with the project. So I hope you enjoyed that. Like I said, subscribe, tell your friends, give me a thumbs up, ring that bell. All right, so thanks for sticking with me to the end of the video. Our next project will be a weighted pincushion. It'll be an owl or penguin pincushion. All right, and let's bust out some art. See ya.